boxed pouch turned into a crossbody bag or fanny pack or hip bag, whatever you want to call it. But that is what we're working on today. The original pattern for this project is from AppleGreen Cottage. Is the boxed pouch, and it is a free pattern, and I've added the link in the description of this video for her free pattern. I just want to say that this video, it is not sponsored by AppleGreen Cottage, and I am not an affiliate. I want to share that I have been making this pouch for years now, and I have made this pouch in every version there is. The original pattern comes in two sizes. She calls it the medium and the large. The medium one is this little pouch right here. And as cute as it is, because it is very cute, right? You know, you can fit in there some lipstick, small makeup, coins, whatever. Really cute. But I said, well, I want something a little bit bigger. So I said, well, let me try the large size. And this is the large size right here. Again, bigger. You can fit few things, especially if you're traveling and you need to bring travel size toiletries, then this is a good size. However, I wanted something a little bit bigger because I wanted to store larger containers for other projects that I was working on. So I decided to make this boxed pouch a little bit bigger. The size that I made it is 12 by 8. And this is the original one that I made years ago in that size. And this is a great size because you really can fit a lot of things in here. I do some, I play around with some of the UV resins, and I can put the containers here, it fit perfectly, some paint, things like that. And I added this beautiful message here on the front. And I just love the shape of this pouch. Like, it's just a beautiful rectangle. It's just not too wide. It's tall. I feel it's a great shape and size. So I've been making this one like large like this for years. I've made it with waterproof canvas in this design, and I've made it with 2 colors like this. You know, I even made it with clear vinyl on the bottom and waterproof canvas on the top. And this is when I created this bag, this size with the clear vinyl and the waterproof canvas, is when I decided that I wanted to turn this into a crossbody bag. So I added this strip of fabric in the back, the D-rings, and made the strap and turned it into a crossbody bag. So another way that I made it was with this clear vinyl, frosted vinyl. It's not the best, but it has the D-rings here on the back like this. Instead of a stripe of fabric all across, it's just 2 little tabs in the back. And as you can see, this is a great size, and this is perfect for like a stadium bag. If you're going to a game and you have to, you know, bring a clear bag, this pattern will work perfectly. So that's what we're doing. So for this bag today, I'm using the ultra smooth faux leather from Soulful Therapy. I'm adding the link to her website in the description here. Again, same thing, not an affiliate, not a sponsor video, but the exterior is that fabric. For the inside, I'm using waterproof canvas from Fabric Wholesale Direct. I'm using a zipper by the yard. I bought this one on Amazon. 2 D-rings. The inside of this has fusible fleece. Well, mine is not fusible, but batting fleece. That is to just give it a little bit of shape because this faux leather is very soft. So just to give it a little bit of a structure. The webbing as well, you know, you can just purchase this really anywhere. Your slider, swivel hooks, etc. I made the template for this pouch to make it bigger. It's 12 by 8. So you can just cut your fabric a rectangle, 12 inches by 8 inches. You will cut 2 of those for the exterior fabric and you will cut 2 for the lining. The interfacing will be a little bit smaller, but if you are planning on making several of these like I did, you can just buy construction paper or some strong, thicker paper and make your own template. As long as you cut out the 1 inch at the bottom and 1 inch and 3/8 on the top, just like the original pattern says. So we're just following the original pattern step by step, how to make it exactly the same. The only thing is that we're cutting our fabric 12 inches by 8 inches. And of course the fleece, fusible fleece on the inside, it's just a little bit smaller by like 3/8 of an inch. The seam allowance is 3/8 of an inch all around. So now that you have that information, let's get started. I'm not an affiliate or an associate. I am not an affiliate or a sponsor or this. And here they are. If you want to add an embroidery design or any other kind of design that you can do, this will be the time to do it. And for the fusible fleece or fleece batting, whatever you're using, the measurements are 11 by 7. So you're going to cut the corners just like you would do for the other pattern pieces, and you're going to place them behind your exterior pattern. The fleece that I'm using is not fusible, so I'm going to use fabric glue to stick it together. But even if it was fusible, I couldn't use it because I really cannot apply heat to my faux leather. So I take my fabric glue and just put a couple of drops of it, or more than just drops, just enough to cover the center and cover the edges here as well. Once I do that, I flip it and I just press it, making sure that of course the corners match, you know, the smaller and the bigger ones. And I'm just going to press it here and put it aside and let it cure for about 30 minutes. And do the same with the other one. So I also would like to mention that we need a 12-inch zipper with, I'm using just one zipper pull. We are going to need a strip of fabric that, in this case, because I'm using faux leather, is 2 inches wide. And I cut a piece of fabric I already had, so it's 17 inches long. But you don't need it this long, but it definitely cannot be smaller than 14 inches. If you're using fabric, then it will be 4 inches wide by 15 inches long. I also have 2 tabs here for my swivel hook connector to my strap. This is 3.5 inches long by 1 inch wide. And then I have my zipper tabs, which are 3 inches long by 1 inch wide. And again, if you're using quilting cotton or canvas or anything like that, you double the sizes on the width. So instead of 1 inch will be 2 inches so that you can fold it twice. Grab your strap connector that goes on the back of your pouch, and you're going to flip it with the wrong side facing you, and you're going to find the middle point and draw a line down the center. Take your double-sided tape and put a couple of pieces along each side of that line. Peel one off. Take that raw edge and fold it in along that line that you just drew, right over that double-sided tape. And do the same for the other side. You're also going to take your zipper tabs and you're going to fold them in half and place them along the ends of your zipper. And we're just going to put a couple of wonder clips there, because we're taking this to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch over it, base stitch the zipper tabs to the zipper, and you're going to stitch this little back strap connector together along the edges only at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. For the next step, I like to use either chalk or a water soluble pen that you may have, because we're going to mark the exterior of your pouch. So you're going to get one of the exterior pieces, the one for the back, and we're going to mark the placement of the strap connector. So find the top part of your exterior back and place your ruler 1 3/8 down the top, okay? Up. Oh, oops. Here's the strap connector, and we're going to place it right over that line that we just drew. Now you're going to have leftover fabric kind of hanging, like a little tail hanging out. You can have, you know, if you cut this 14 inches long, then it's like an inch on each side. I have about 1.5 inches on each side because mine is longer, but it's okay. Take a wonder clip and just secure one side only for now. Consider liking this video and subscribing to this channel if you have learned something today. And here's what we're going to do first. You're going to place a marking 2 inches from the edge here of your back pouch. Mark 2 inches, and you're going to place that marking over the strap connector like this. Take your chalk and just place a mark there. You're going to stitch a rectangle starting here at the line. You're going to stitch all the way to the edge of your exterior panel, across and to the other side, very close to the stitch line that you already have here on the strap connector. You can also do an X if you want down the center. That is up to you, but definitely do the rectangle. If it makes it easier for you, you can always add a little piece of double-sided tape here to keep the strap in place. If not, just the wonder clips will do, and we're going to take this to the sewing machine now. So this is how it looks, right? Perfect. As you can see, I added a little piece of double-sided tape because I want to make sure my strap doesn't move up and down for the next step. Next, you're going to measure 1 inch from that stitch line that you just drew. Okay, so from that rectangle, you're going to measure 1 inch and take your chalk and drew a line there. And you're going to take one of your D-rings and you're going to slide it through the little strap connector here. Make sure the bottom of the D-ring is against the back of your pouch, and you're going to slide it all the way to the very end. You're going to leave it right there. Take the peel off the little bit of double-sided tape and just place your strap. Make sure that it's straight. You're going to measure again 2 inches from the edge here in towards the center, and another inch in towards the center, just like that. Once you've made it to this point, you are going to take it back to the sewing machine and you're going to stitch a rectangle in between this line and that line. Make sure you back stitch at the beginning and end, and if possible, if your fabric allows it, stitch a double line on this area to reinforce the stitching and make sure that it doesn't come loose with the wear and tear. And now the next step is, you guessed it, we are going to insert the other D-ring into the strap and stitch it in place. Let's do that. If your drawing kind of wore off a little bit like mine did, just draw it again. That way it's very clear when you take it to the sewing machine and stitch the last rectangle. And this is how it looks on the outside and the stitching on the inside. Now we're going to put this aside because we are going to make the zipper pouch. Now this is a very basic zipper pouch. If you have made other zipper pouches, then it's pretty much the same. The only thing that I say pay attention to is when you add your zipper, you should start and stop stitching 1 inch from the edge. So what I did is that I took my zipper and I marked 1 inch here and 1 inch on the other side. And that goes also for when you top stitch it. So no matter when you're stitching your zipper, do not stitch it all the way. You're going to start and stop at 1 inch from the edge. Okay, so let's go ahead and make the zipper pouch now. I'm taking my front exterior panel and the zipper. And the zipper pull is facing the left hand side. I'm going to place it right sides together. So like this. My zipper tabs are a little bit in the way, so just push them aside if you stitch them like I did. And as you can see, I have my markings of 1 inch, which they match the notch here for the beginning and end of the top of the zipper. So I'm just going to align that 1 inch marking with my 1 inch notch here. The seam allowance for this bag is 3/8 of an inch. So everything is going to be 3/8 of an inch. Take it to the sewing machine and stitch it at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, beginning and stopping at that 1 inch mark. And one thing I want to say is make sure that you change your foot to your machine's zipper foot. You will need it during this step. So 3/8 of an inch seam allowance for my machine is here, and I have my 1 inch mark, so that's where I'm going to start. Something I want to mention before we start putting the pouch together is when you stitch the lining, the seam allowance will change a little bit. You will start at 3/8 of an inch of seam allowance right at the top, but then as you go down, it will go down to 1/2 inch. And then at the bottom is 1/2 inch seam allowance. And this is so that the lining will fit snug inside the pouch. What I like to do is that I like to take my ruler and draw the beginning seam allowance, which is 3/8 of an inch right here at the top, and the final seam allowance, which is 1/2 inch at the bottom. And when I'm stitching it, I can just follow that line. The bottom, it's also 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to leave an opening of 4 inches down the center. So I'm going to measure 3 inches, 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm just going to draw 3 inches here and 3 inches on the other side with 1/2 inch seam allowance. So when I'm putting this together, I'm going to stitch here and stitch here and leave this opening to turn the back right side out. So I do this with one of the lining pieces. I already did it on one side here, and now I'm just going to place the marking on the other side. And you want to do this before you take this to the sewing machine, because after you start putting this together, it's just gonna be a little more difficult. So might as well get it done now. Take your lining piece after you place the markings and place it right sides together against the exterior panel so that your zipper is sandwiched in between the 2 panels of fabric. So right sides together. And of course, it's going to match with the markings on the zipper because of the 1 inch cutout that we have here. Take this now to your sewing machine and go ahead and stitch over that stitch line that you did when you attached the zipper to the exterior panel. Next, you're going to open it. That way you can see the right side of the fabric for both the exterior and the lining, and you're going to join them together. If there's a little bit of bulkiness on the top, you're going to pull the fabric so that it's as flat as possible. If you're using some sort of quilting cotton or canvas fabric that you can press, you will use your iron at this moment. But you definitely do not want this area here to be bulky, and you want it to be as flat as possible. The same goes to the front. So press it with your fingers until it falls nice and flat. You're going to take it to the sewing machine and top stitch it at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, or almost 1/4 inch, making sure that you start and stop 1 inch away from the beginning of the zipper. Once you do that, you're going to then follow the same process for the other side. Take the back of your bag and you're going to place it like this, right sides together. Move the zipper tab away. Like this. Flip it. Take your lining piece, right sides together. Join it to the zipper here. And once you join them, you will open them up and top stitch them. So it will look like this. The next step is to join the lining and the exterior panels, right sides together. You're going to do one side first and then the other. I'm going to start with the lining because I already have them marked here. So I'm just going to take my 2 pieces of lining and join them using wonder clips. Then we're doing the same with the side, with the front. And as you can see, I have these extra pieces of fabric. We're just going to trim those off. The seam allowance for the exterior is 3/8 of an inch all around. Do not stitch the corners here. So you're going to start at the very top, move the zipper away, start, stop here, then start at the bottom, stop, and start on the side, and stop here at the top. And then for the lining, you're going to also move the zipper away, start at the top, and following the line, you're going to start at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, ending at 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch on the bottom, and you're going to leave a 4-inch opening. Continue 1/2 inch, stop, and then start here, 1/2 inch, 3/8 of an inch to the top. And I'm going to start at the bottom of the lining where the opening is. I'm just going to start stitching here, stop, and then continue all around it, okay? So let's do that. And now we're going to box the corners. I'm going to start by doing the one by the zipper. I removed the zipper tabs and then I added them closer to the area where I'm going to stitch. I keep the zipper tabs in the zipper because I tend to lose them. In fact, I removed the 2 zipper tabs and I already lost one. I had to go and cut another piece of fabric. I don't know what it is about me and zipper tabs, but I lose them all the time. That's why I attach them to the zipper. And then when it's time to kind of put them where they go, I remove them, I take the stitching out, and I put them where they go. It's the only way I found not to lose them, and I still managed to lose one. Anyway, that's beside the point. Let's get to finishing this. Make sure that your fabric is flat here, that you feel that it's flat, that there's not a lot of bulkiness other than the layers of fabric. Okay, and make sure your seam is open when it's time to take this to the sewing machine. Take your zipper tab and insert it now on the front side, okay? My tabs are the same length, same size. Okay. Perfect. So once you have your two pieces, the lining and the exterior, and they match on both sides, the lining always wants to pull up a little more, so you just have to push the fabric down a little and then readjust it and put the clip there again. It'll be fine though, but I noticed they want to do that. Take it to the sewing machine and you're going to stitch this in place at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and you're going to stitch it where you see the fold here on your zipper. That's your seam allowance, 3/8 of an inch all across. Okay, so before we move on, you have here we have closed this up, both sides, and now we're going to do the corners for the exterior and the lining. But in order to get your hand on this side to open it up, you know, I highly recommend that you open the zipper if you haven't done that already. So we're gonna get our hand in there and make sure the zipper on the inside is open. That way I can get my hand on the other side and help with my fingers make it flat like this. So now I can take it to the sewing machine and stitch it along there at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Just make sure your seam is open. Do that for the other side and do that for the lining. When you join the bottom here to box the corners like this, and you open your seam, make sure the seam matches here at the bottom. These little details really take it to the next level. So just make sure that your seams match down there, especially, you know, on the outside of the bag. Now we're going to trim off all this excess fabric. Before I do that, I always personally like to take a look at my exterior corners here, just through that opening. I'm not turning it right side out completely just yet, but I want to make sure that it looks okay, because what if I need to redo something, you know? I just want to make sure. So anyway, I think it looks okay. Okay, we are going to especially trim this zipper and all of this stuff off, trim it off. So we're going to there. As you can see, I'm not cutting it too close. I mean, this is a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, so maybe by a 1/4 inch. Okay, the same with this side. Fold the seam here for your lining. If you have to use the iron, press it. If not, just with your fingers or with a seam roller, whatever you use based on your fabric, fold it, okay, because it will help when it's time to close it up. And now let's turn it right side out. I start with the corners. Push the exterior corners through first. And now I'm going to stitch the opening here to close it, and we are going to make the strap next. And to learn how to make this cool webbing strap, go check out the next video. I'll see you there. Ciao.